Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So we're here for another episode of our what to do with cabinet cards and cabinet card ideas relating to junk journals, basically. So what I have got today, I've got some bigger cabinet cards. So these are some pretty large ones. I mean, I don't know what size this is. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, about 8 inches by 12, I think. So I mean, it's quite big. Sorry, by 10. Quite big, and yeah, they're obviously not all as big as that, but they're all much bigger than, you know, some of the smaller sort of cabinet cards that you can buy. So what I thought we could do is make an accordion book with these as our base. So I'm only going to use these 4 cabinet cards. Now I've kind of lined them up already to form how they're going to be. So they're going to be, you know, accordion style, so like, you know, jagged, if you see what I mean. So all I'm going to do is start by actually attaching them all together. So now I've gone for a man theme here, again, because I'm trying to hoard my best cabinet cards. So yeah, I'm starting with the men who, you know, I was not so drawn to. Yeah, nothing against them, but yeah, they just weren't as lovely as some of the others. So I'm going to just cut my lace. So yes, sorry, I did bring along some lace with me. That's how I'm going to be attaching my cards. Now, when I've made assembly line, sorry, I'm at it again now, I'm messing about with my words. When I've made accordion style books previously, I have tended to reinforce them by stitching them. Now, I'm not doing that this time because the cabinet cards are obviously pretty thick. So I don't want to kind of upset my sewing machine by trying to feed these through it. I don't know whether it would take them or not. I haven't tried. But yeah, they are very, very thick. So I'm going to just go for glue. Now, glue should work fine. You know, there's no reason why the glue, you know, shouldn't be absolutely up to the job. You know, I don't have any kind of worries about that at all. I think the stitching looks pretty and, you know, is a very attractive kind of finished effect. But aside from that, I don't think it's a, you know, an essential thing to actually kind of like get them, you know, strong and substantial kind of thing. So I'm going to fold it in here like this quickly to kind of like just check that I've got enough room here. And then I'm just going to flip it over and I'm going to glue down the lace on the other side so it's all sort of reinforced in one go, if that makes sense. So like that, only because once I get putting my other photographs down, it's going to obviously get, you know, more cumbersome to sort of fit on the desk. So I think, well, I might as well try and do it all in one go, really. So like that. Now I've lined the photographs up so that I've got photographs on both sides. Obviously not on both sides of each cabinet card because they don't have photographs on either side. But so I've got like a couple of photographs on one side of the accordion fold and some photographs on the other side of the accordion fold. So, I mean, hopefully it would be then just nice and interesting to look at, you know, either way that you unfold it, if you see what I mean. So there we go. Now I'm just using the Anita's tacky glue, only because it was the first glue that I sort of put my hands on. You could obviously use any glue that you like. Fabri-Tac would work wonderfully for this, and I may switch to Fabri-Tac later on. You know, we'll just kind of see how it goes. So really pressing that down like that. Then obviously I'm just kind of putting it how it's going to be. So then I'm going to have this one here, which is going to fold this way. So I have to be careful because otherwise I will sort of forget and misalign, you know, what needs to go where. So again, I'm folding this, and this is where I'm saying that, you know, I need to be careful because otherwise I'm going to run out of space on the desk. So again, just taking my lace. I might have to switch laces in a minute because I might run out of this, we'll see. But, you know, I'm not too fussed, that's fine. So, again, plenty of glue, you know, because you want your pieces properly attached, don't you? You don't want them sort of falling apart later down the line. So like that. Okie dokie. Right. Let's just which way around do I want this? Maybe this way around. Okie dokie. So again, just get my dried wipe and press this down. Okay, so I hope everyone's having a good day. Maybe you are doing some crafting. I hope you're having a nice time if you are. Maybe you are joining along in our little mini series and making some things with your cabinet cards. And I did say in a previous video, you know, if you haven't got any cabinet cards, original ones yourself, then you can always make them. So, you know, you could use obviously printables or, you know, anything. You could use, I don't know, magazine images or book images if you like. And just back them onto something like, say, cereal packet. And then personally, I would probably then cover the cereal packet side with some coffee dyed paper, just so as it was plain and sort of vintage looking, you know, on the reverse rather than looking like a cereal packet. But that would work perfectly. And then you've got yourself some cabinet cards. So that's just a little idea for if you don't have, you know, access to cabinet cards. It's still not essential to even join in, you know, this little series. So just, you know, just go with what you've got. Oops. There we go. Right, obviously I could have done with a bit more patience, but obviously when you're doing a video you kind of need to get a bit of a shift on, don't you? So it's, yeah, just need to be a bit careful. So again, just plenty of glue on the reverse side. And like I say, because we're putting a lot of glue on here, you know, you really wouldn't need to stitch this anyway. It's purely for sort of aesthetic reasons why, you know, why I think glue stitching would be nice. Okay, so press that all down nicely. Okie dokie. Oh, it's just getting really chilly in my house now. It had been okay, and then yeah, it's just suddenly deteriorating now and getting a little bit on the chilly side, which is a shame. The sun had been out. The sun still looks like it's out, but it's just turning a bit chilly. And I do say this all the time, but I'm filming ahead. So if it's bright sunshine where you are, you know, if you're in the UK and you think, oh, it's boiling today, I'm filming ahead. So trust me, it's not boiling right now. Yeah, I mean, I haven't got a jumper on, to be fair. Maybe I should have put a jumper on, really, but... Okay, right, so lots of mopping up going on because it's obviously quite a holey lace, so I don't want like loads of glue visible through there. I mean, not that it would be too visible, but you know, don't want it visible really at all. So again, just being a bit careful now, folding my folds in like this, and then here, and then this one is going to go on this side. So for this one, I'm just going to, oops, hold it. Oh no, look. Oh, yes, I definitely could have done with having this dry before doing the video, so not great. If you're doing this, I'd recommend waiting for it to dry. Okay. Right, let me try and move this along a little bit. I mean, it would have been fine if I had a bit more room, obviously, on the desk, but, you know, it's kind of like becoming quite long, so it's a little bit more tricky to fit onto the desk. Right, there we go. So we're going to just put that on there, and again, just get my lace. Yeah, I did have some more of this tucked under something, which I just spotted. So we've got all the same lace, which, you know, it doesn't really bother me whether it's the same or not, but I suppose it's nice to have the same, isn't it? You know, if you can. So there we go. Right, so again, just plenty of glue. Like that. Okie dokie. Okay, like that. Again, just squish that down. Okay. So it looks pretty, doesn't it? You know, and that's already, and we've done nothing else to it other than just, you know, shove some lace on here. So yeah, it's going to look very pretty, hopefully, once it's, oh no, once it's done. This is all moving about. So I might have to actually wait for this to dry, really, before we kind of move on with this. But I'll just show you, you know, basically what I'm doing with the next bit. So I'm just going to turn this over now. Oops, and just glue this one down here so as it's properly attached. So again, plenty of glue there. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to leave this, I'm afraid, to dry and then come back. So it will all be in the same video for you guys, but for me, I just need to give it sort of 20 minutes to dry up. Otherwise it's just making it very difficult to work with, because obviously every time I move it, it's, you know, falling apart really. So right, okay, so mopping the glue up, I'm going to leave it all to dry and then I will come back. Right, I am back now. I have to say, this is several days later, so I'd kind of forgotten really what my plans were with this, it's got to be said. But yeah, let's kind of just go for it. Now, I do apologise if, you know, if I kind of implied that we were going to do anything and now I'm doing a complete U-turn. It's like I said, I've totally forgotten what my actual plan was with this. Oh, I'm so sorry if you could just hear Bo. Right, so what I've got here, I've got some old vintage documents. It is quite fragile, and so this one I've actually torn it already, so I'm going to just kind of discount that one. So we'll just take this one instead. Now I quite like it with the torn edges. I quite like that sort of appearance of it being a bit scrappy. And then I've got some book page here. Again, it's vintage book page, and I'm just going to glue this onto the book page. So I'm just using my 3-in-1 glue to just get it down. Now I'm doing this really you know, to reinforce this so it's thicker, but also because, like I said, this is very brittle and quite fragile and delicate sort of you know, vintage document. This is going to reinforce it and strengthen it. So putting that down like that. Okay, now I probably need to mop this up a bit, so if I just get my glue spreader. Now I'm trying not to press this too hard because I don't want to actually tear my document. It's, you know, that fragile that it's likely to kind of tear while I'm spreading the glue, so not pressing overly hard with that. So that's that one. Now I might put another layer of the book page, so by just folding it over, we're just kind of like strengthening it further. So just go in here, just glue down, oh my goodness, glue down this book page as well, and that way we've got it, you know, it's 3 pages worth of layers, you know, so it's obviously much thicker than it was originally or initially. So press that down like that. Okay, okie dokie. Right, so press that down like that. Please excuse all the glue that's kind of seeping out all over the desk. It doesn't look great, but there we go. So mop that glue up rather than stick it onto my photos. So that's going to be a little pocket. I'm going to try and keep this quite neutrals, I think. And obviously we've got, it's just pictures of men that we've got here. So if I just show you how it turned out, obviously once the glue had dried in between the layers. So that's one side, and then the other way, oops, sorry I knocked the camera there, the other side is like that. Okay, so it folds in on itself and it makes a really neat little package there, which, yeah, I mean, it really looks neat. Oh gosh, that one's not glued down. Oh dear. Had not noticed that obviously when I came back to do the video. So let me just glue that down now. Okay. Don't know why that hadn't glued down, but that's a bit annoying. Right, there we go. I think that was the only one that hadn't glued properly. Yeah, I just suddenly noticed that it was very skew-if, and I thought, well, that's weird. I don't remember it being all wonky like that. And that's why. So, like that. Okay. So, with my pocket now that's been formed with the book page, just quickly glue this little bit down here. Just sort of any odds and ends that aren't quite glued down. Hold on. Oh, sorry about that. So, yeah. This I'm going to put down here as a little pocket. And then obviously we can decorate this. So I'm going to just glue it down on 3 sides. And just decide which way round to put it. So I might put it this side only because this is the neater edge. Do I want to? Oh, that's annoying because it's the neater edge, but it's the this edge has only got the 2 layers. So actually, I think I should probably do it that way round. I mean, once it's on there, you won't really notice whether it's a neat edge or not, if I'm truthful. So I'm going to just put that down there like that. Okay. Like that. Okie dokie. Right. Okay, so that looks nice. And then I will just put some lace or something down the edge of that. Now I've also got some decorative paper strips, which I could put down there like that to finish that pocket. That looks quite nice, doesn't it? I could even put that on as a bit of another pocket, maybe. Let's just see how that would pan out. Because sometimes it works and sometimes it's not as good as you'd think. But yeah, we could kind of put that down like that, and then it would be a very tiny pocket, but you know, that's fine. That doesn't really worry me. So I'm just going to ink it up a bit. So just here where it didn't really print borderless, and then just a bit around here like that. Okay. And then just, yep, ink this all around on the edge bits. Okay, right. So I'm just going to glue this down. Now it's overlapping the pocket slightly. Again, doesn't really, you know, doesn't really bother me, and I don't think it really matters. So we're just going to pop that in now. Trying to be very delicate with the glue here, because it's quite tiny to make a pocket from this. I want to go, you know, easy on the glue. So there we go. So let's glue that down. Okie dokie. Okay, right. Loving how that looks. And then let's not stop there. Let's put some more things on. Got some lace here, so perhaps we'll just put some lace. Or perhaps we might even have the lace here on the bottom. Oops, press that down a bit more. Don't want it coming up, do we? So yeah, maybe we'll have the lace here. So again, just going to glue this down here. Okay. Like that. Okay. And just dab that glue. So that makes a lovely little kind of decorative piece for that page. Let me just check whether we need any other lace. I mean, we've got quite a bit now, but could even have a little bit of lace there. I'm not sure. So perhaps we'll just leave that for the moment. And then obviously we could then just tuck in some, you know, some paper or whatever. So yeah, we'll probably kind of have a look at that in a bit, what we're going to put in the pocket. Now, I had also dug these out. Now, these are just little kind of flippy pads. This is my, I think this is the Fantasy Doors collection papers, and it's mixed in with some other bits and pieces and some of the Clocks collection, so some vintage documents and things. And I thought these might be quite nice on here as little flippy pads. Now, I did say I was going to try and keep it, you know, more neutral. But what do we think if we had something like that on there? I mean, it looks quite nice, doesn't it? And to be honest, if we're doing that, then maybe we should incorporate some other kinds of bits. Oh, I can't decide now. I did have another one as well. So this also is the Fantasy Doors, but slightly different shade of green. I mean, the reason for these was I thought they would be really lovely because, you know, they've got lots of journaling space because they're very nice big pieces of paper, and they just happen to fit perfectly onto these photos. Yeah, I'm just torn because partly I was wanting to keep this very, very neutral. Right, I might hold fire on that and just have a think about it. So let's come to this page instead and just see. So, I mean, technically we could have another one of those, you know, and we could have another kind of pocket arrangement here. Oh, that one's quite lost on there, to be honest, because this is obviously a much bigger photo. So from that point of view, maybe what we should do is on this one, we could maybe have like a couple of pockets on here. That would work quite well, wouldn't it? So yeah, let's take these, and they're going to have to come in about like that. Okay, so if I just take this as a guide, we're just going to cut this down. There's 2 sheets here, so I'm just going to take this down. This was the sheet that I just tore by accident, so just bring it in, and then we'll just trim this down where I've got that folded over as a guide. Okay, so let's just see how this is going to pan out. So if we have it like that, so it would be like a double pocket going up there, and then again we could have this even going over those two, which then, I mean, that makes that super practical, doesn't it? You know, lots and lots of space. So I'm going to get the book page and we'll just do exactly as we did on the last one, layering the book page up to reinforce our pieces of paper here. So this one, oops. Yeah, so I mean, if ever you've got kind of brittle, you know, vintage kind of pieces, I mean, often book page can be quite brittle, you know, then once you've glued it down onto, you know, for example, some more book page, then that's going to lessen the fragility of it. So, oops, like that. And then it's going to be much more kind of workable. If you just glued it like just around the edges without covering the whole piece of paper in glue, then obviously you're still going to have, you know, a fragile kind of book page, because on the inside you're still going to be at risk of it obviously tearing, if that makes sense. So, you know, I would recommend gluing, you know, all over basically. So, you know, not just around the edge of the piece of paper, but just glue, you know, like this all over. And then, you know, that's just protecting anywhere at all where it is fragile. So going in there. And I just think glue it down a couple of times. And then you're going to have a, you know, really nice robust piece. It probably would be okay just once. I'm always very paranoid of it, you know, being too flimsy and me tearing it. That's because I'm quite a clumsy person. You might not be as clumsy as me, in which case, you know, you could probably get away with just doing it once. So like that. Okay, now I'm just going to tear it because that's fine. So I just then tear along there. Okay, and then we'll just we'll cut this edge like that, and I'll just take this bit off. Okay. So, and then we want to obviously do exactly the same with the other one, which is now left in here. So, yep. Okay, let me get some more book page. It's brilliant to just use your book page in this way. Okay. You know, because you really are then, you know, recycling what otherwise might just be, you know, left over. So, like that, okay. Again, just squish that down. So, smoosh the glue. Okay, like that. Okie dokie. Right. And then again, we're just going to fold this over here, like that. Okay. And then again, just exactly as we did just now. So I'm just holding it up to the light because then I can see roughly where I need to glue at the top, like that. Okay. Right, like that. Okie dokie, right. Smoosh that down again. Like that, okay. And then I'm just going to, again, just like we did before, turn it over here and we just tear it across where it needs to be taken down. And then just cut it down here at the side, like that, and like that. Okay, right. And then here, we're going to just obviously line them up. So, you know, choose the way round that you want it. I mean, to be honest, it probably doesn't really make much difference, but, you know, you might find that you've got a preference for the text somehow. So we could glue it down like that. So I'm just going to glue that down here. Okay, so just going to put on a little bit of glue here. Now, the reason why I haven't glued down this edge is because then what you've got is the entire depth to put things in the pocket. So when you put something in this pocket, instead of only having it depth, you know, to here, you can go right the way down now. So it's a kind of like good way of gaining space in your pocket. Okay, right. So we pick that up. Okay, let's bring our little accordion base down. Okay, and yeah, open that up. Okay, so on here we're going to have this glued down. So this is just flapping around a bit. I might even just cut this off, to be honest, and then it's no longer in the way, like that. Okay, because that's not going to show anyway, so it's all fine to do that. So this is going to go down on here. Now I might just hot glue it down because I'm doing a video. It's nice and quick to just actually kind of, you know, glue it down instead. Now, do we want anything else here? Like, do we want any torn paper or anything at the top? I'm not sure we want that one. I'm still deciding, do we want to have these over? I mean, I do really like them. I, again, wish that I was live and I could hear you guys because I'd like to know what your thoughts are. You know, do we think that's got a place there or not? I mean, really, it depends whether we're going to kind of like marry up some other stuff, doesn't it? So, I mean, if we are, then I think it would look quite, you know, quite nice. I don't know. I'd need to, you know, I feel like I'd need to bring something green in here to sort of tie in the green. So let's just see what I've got laying around. I've got these flowers. I mean, to be honest, they're quite nice, but oh, not the red. No, not the red. Let me just cut this one down. Okay. I mean, that's quite nice, yeah. I'm quite liking that, to be honest. I wanted to keep it all neutral, but to be honest, how boring is that? Why do we want to keep it neutral? That's just boring, isn't it? So let's not keep it neutral. Let's go for it and be a bit more imaginative and exciting, shall we? So, right, I'm going to glue this down. Now I'm going to, like I say, hot glue this just because that's really, you know, really quick and easy. So just go around the edges with my hot glue. Oops. Like that. And like that. Right. Okay. Now, bearing in mind, this is kind of going like more or less in the middle of that photograph. So, like that. I mean, it's just a bit of a fun way to use your large cabinet cards because some of them really are quite big and, you know, they might not necessarily fit in a, you know, regular journal, but doing them like this or using them like this, it's quite a nice way to, you know, to incorporate them without either having to cut them down or, you know, just like say scanning them in or something. You know, this is quite a nice way to kind of utilize them. So I think that does look quite nice. And to be honest, if we then, oh gosh, look, I've now glued that lace in. If we then incorporate the colors somehow on this side as well, then I think it will, you know, will work okay. So I haven't decided yet how we're going to kind of decorate around the actual photos. Yeah, I'm not quite sure yet how we're going to do that or what we're going to do on that side. Let's just see whether I've got anything that's obvious looking. Now I do have, they're too small. Yep, no, so just ignore me there. I was thinking, oh, I do have some of my doors, but yeah, they're quite small. I've got some of my decorative edge strips. No, that's not going to work either. Oh, this is going to be really tricky, isn't it, now? Trying to do something. I mean, you know, alternatively, what we might have to do is just have maybe like an envelope or something like that here. Sort of like a little envelope flap. So I'm just going to glue down here some lace at the bottom. So we just glue this on like that. Okay. Again, just use your dry wipe to mop out the excess glue. Okay. Oh my goodness, every time I touch anything now, it's all sticking on me from the stickiness of the glue. Right, let's just move that down a bit. Okay, like that. Right. So then here, just going to again use the hot glue to glue this down. So straight across the top. You can probably see this has been just stitched on the sewing machine. So just try and pop that down there. So it's more or less, you know, running in the middle, certainly in the middle of the pocket. So quite nice. Now, do we want to have any lace running across the top of there? Oh yeah. So again, just trim that down. And these are just, you know, scraps and things that I've got laying around on the desk. I'm not kind of like, you know, choosing anything in particular. I'm just going with, you know, what's laying around here. So, oops, like that. Oops. Oh, I do always struggle to find the right way and the wrong way of the lace. There we go. Right. Okay. And then the pink flowers, which I rather like, so yeah, maybe have them, oh, I mean, maybe even just randomly in the middle. I quite liked that. So yeah, let's just pop that on. Okay. Right, loving how that looks. Very, very pretty. So yeah, I'm not actually too sure what I'm going to do here. I will try and incorporate obviously the flowers somewhere. And I probably do need to incorporate some sort of green shades here. Whether I need to have some sort of green, I don't know, envelope or something. I have got an envelope here. I don't know. Just kind of having a look to see whether we could have it hinged or anything onto here. I mean, it's not quite the right colour green, but having said that, I mean, it's it's not terrible, is it? So, and I know I always laugh and say, you know, I mean, that's just the lip we're going for, you know, not terrible, you know. Doesn't really kind of fill you with confidence, does it? If you just, that's the best that you can hope for is, well, it doesn't look terrible. You'd kind of hope that we're going to get better, you know, achieve better than that, wouldn't you? But yeah, we could have something like that and then just open up onto the man. Now, do we want to have another kind of like flap or anything? I mean, it seems a bit weird to cover up his face, doesn't it? Obviously, even if we cover up his face, you know, it's going to be a sort of flippy or something where you're going to lift it up and still see his face. The alternative is that we could do something that we kind of like have a hole where we can see him. So we sort of cover it up a little bit with some paper. Yeah, I wonder what that would be like. So let me just see if I've got any vaguely suitable. Oh, here we go. Got some green paper here. So I'm kind of thinking perhaps what we could have is like a sort of frame here. Let's just have a bit of a think. I wonder if we could have it. It's a bit of a shame that this is not coffee dyed, but let's just have a think, because I could always just quickly coffee dye this. So if I would have that there. Let's just see if I could use that as the hinge for this. So we could do something like that. So right, let me I mean, we don't necessarily want it covering the entire envelope, do we? Or do we? Well, actually, let's take this down here. Let's just take it down across here like that. And then I'm going to just take this down here a little bit to get it hopefully more similar size to the envelope. The envelope's only just less than a full A4 size, so it doesn't need to come down a great deal, but just a tiny bit. Okay, right, let's take this out and yep, get rid of that. So you could then have that as a little pocket and this here. And that way we've still got the bit here. So we could have something like that. Now, does that look really strange? I don't know. I mean, probably this could do with being coffee dyed if I'm truthful, but I wasn't planning on coffee dyeing it. This has been coffee dyed, so I feel like now we're going for a, you know, pretty much a coffee dyed thing. So okay, so I've coffee dyed that. Now I have to be honest, I've not dried it or anything, so it's a little bit soggy, but hey, I'm just going to work with it anyway. So what I'm going to try and do, I think, is I'm not going to cut the oval because I will no doubt make a bit of a hash of cutting that. So I'm going to try and just tear this out. So who knows, I probably will make quite a mess of this and it will look absolutely terrible and I won't be able to use it, but let's see. Yeah, I mean, already I'm thinking, oh, using this soggy is probably a mistake because you can probably see the paper is screwing up a little bit. You know, it's yeah, where it's soggy, it's obviously crumpling quite, you know, quite a bit. So we just go around there like that. Okay, right, let's see how we're looking here. Okay, well, I mean, I don't mind that, funnily enough. I think that's kind of quite cool. And then we can obviously glue this onto here, which is acting as a hinge, and also we can put it as a pocket. So that would then open like that, which I quite like. And then what I will probably do is put some lace on this side so that it's got a like double hinge. So I'd probably glue that on first onto the envelope before gluing it onto the page. So this needs to come slightly higher, in which case I think I need to open out this slightly more on this bottom end, just because otherwise that hole's quite big at the top and you know, quite small at the bottom. So, oh my goodness, that's just, oh my gosh. Okay, right, let's see now how we're looking. So it's a bit better, isn't it? We can see a little bit more of that photo. I actually think that looks really cool. Do we want to come bigger still? I mean, I quite like it with the brown showing. What do we think? Let's just try it. I mean, this is where I'll probably ruin it completely and then it will be unusable, but let's just see. I'm actually thinking perhaps we should have some acetate going over this. And then we could use it as a pocket. The problem is if we don't put the acetate, what's happened is obviously this hole is now quite big. So the pocket would be, you know, pretty useless because you put something in the top pocket, for example, and of course it would just, you know, slip straight out of the hole. So from a usability point of view, I think maybe having acetate or something in there would make it, you know, more usable. So let's just take that down there. Oh my goodness, it's not going brilliant, is it? I'm not making a very good job of opening this out. I'm just making it sort of wider, but yeah, it's not really kind of like, not really going quite as I'd hoped, but let's just see. There we go. That's a bit better, isn't it? Okay, so I quite like that, to be honest. That's fine. So I'm going to get some transparency film. Now this is all just, you know, we're just winging this. Right, let me, got some behind me. Hang on a second. Okay, so I've got some transparency film here. I'm just going to take that now. I'm thinking glue this down here. Okay, now probably stitching this in is probably better because it would be, you know, much more robust, but I'm just going to glue it in at the minute. Okay, so yeah, so oops, just going to take this and we're just going to glue it around onto here. So let's glue it with the 3-in-1. So round here. Not going too close to the edge because, you know, being transparency film, once I spread it out, it's just going to smear all over it and actually then look pretty awful. So this is, it's not transparency film. This is, you know, the overhead projectors, those things from like, you know, the olden days. Don't think really anybody uses an overhead projector anymore, but yeah, it's just that kind of stuff. So, but you can use anything, you know, as long as it's see-through. So you could probably use, you know, old packaging or something if you wanted. It's, you know, anything that's see-through, because you're just basically trying to make it like a little frame with some, you know, what's effectively going to be like a glass around the frame. So like that. Now, like I say, ideally I would at this point probably stitch around it to make sure it's really firmly in place. I'm not going to do that because I feel like I'm stopping and starting the video. Right, my son's home today, so I'm hoping that he's going to be able to get the door. So let's just clear up this glue that's now stuck all over here. Oh my goodness. Right, not going well. Okay. So that's going to go on there like that. But like I say, before I do that, hang on a second, let me check my son has opened the door. Okay, so then before I actually glue that down onto the photograph, I want to now attach it to the envelope. So I'm going to just glue down here. So we're just going to glue down like that. Like that. Okay, oops. Like that. And whoa, going down like that. Oh my goodness. This is not great. Okay, right. Pressing that down like that. Okay, so that's now a little pocket on the envelope. And then just to reinforce that further, just to reinforce that further, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some lace on here on this side. So let's just check that this is, let's move it down slightly so that the pocket's right by, oh, now look what's happened. What an idiot. Trying to hinge that, and I obviously forgot that the paper is very soggy. So now it's of course torn. Right. Crisis averted. This is what to do if things like that happen. So if you have a situation where something like that happens, then obviously you can take your lace or you know, other fabric or whatever, and you can glue that on. Now I was planning on gluing it on here anyway, so you know, that's all fine, but I obviously was intending on it being, you know, still sturdy and folded. So the fact we've now got an actual torn section is, yeah, not great, but it's okay. So lots of glue on there. Check my lace is the right way up. Okie dokie. And then just, yeah, pop that down like that. So again, just glue that down. Okay. Oh, I hope to goodness that I've done this right. I feel a bit like I've mucked this up now. And when I turn it over, I'm going to discover that I've done it the wrong way over. Right, so it's going to go like that. Yeah, that should be okay. So let's just check that I'm not going to be now putting this in the glue, because that's the other thing that I keep on doing. Okay, so then obviously we've got this vulnerable point. So I'm going to take more lace, and we're going to glue it here on this side as well. And that's, you know, that's then sealed up that where it had split. So it's just a little quick fix that we've done there. Like that. Okie dokie. So again, maybe just even spread the glue a bit. Like that. Okay, right. Now this obviously is going to be visible, you know, because this is the side that's going to be over that photograph. Whereas the other side, obviously it was the white side, it's going to all be hidden underneath. But this side's going to be visible. So I just want to kind of make sure it's a little bit neater. So yeah, press that down. Let me just get a fresh wipe. Just press that down all over. Okay, right. Very messy, getting really, really, really sticky from the glue for some reason today. Some days I'm just worse than others, I think. Right, okay, so we've got pocket here, we've got the envelope. Oh my goodness, hang on 2 seconds, sorry about this. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. So yes, right, now what we've got here, sorry, I was just mucking about with something from my butterfly cabinet card collection whilst I was on the phone. So this one here, we can obviously glue over like this, and then it gives us a hinged envelope here with a pocket on the back. So I'm going to do that in the, yeah, using the 3-in-1 on the sides, and then I might just use hot glue on the base. Again, just for kind of like speed, because that's gluing over the top of the lace edge. So I'm just going to go across here. Oops, like that. And do you know what I've done? I have glued it in the wrong place now. So yeah. Right, we're going to glue it here. I had meant originally to put the pocket at the top, and yeah, completely kind of like forgot, and I've ended up putting the pocket here on the side. It doesn't matter. You know, that still will work fine. Just need to now obviously glue it down. Whoops, glue it down here and here. So pressing this down, obviously the glue's seeping out a bit. But yeah, originally I had meant to put the pocket at the top, and I would have preferred that if I'm truthful, but you know, it's not the end of the world. So like that. Okay. So now the pocket is here instead, which is fine. Okay, so looking good. And then you could make another pocket here which I'm wondering then whether we could use that same document page that we've used on the opposite page, like that. And that then kind of ties the two pages in together. So if I were to take that down, say like that, I'll just trim that down here on the side, like that. Oh gosh, slightly torn there. I mean, again, that doesn't really matter too much, so, because we could always cover that up. Okay, so take another bit of book page. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, so we're just going to glue this down onto the book page again, just like we did in the other ones, or with the other ones. So like that. Again, going all over this, you know, for the same reason, you know, the brittle page, and, you know, put your glue all over, and then it's, you know, severely strengthening it. Severely strengthening it? Not sure that's the expression, but anyway. It's not severely, but significant. That's the word. Significantly strengthening it. Yep, not severe. Well, it might be severe, but I think significant is probably the better word. So, right. Okay, so that's that one, like that. Okie dokie. Right, then we're going to just quickly turn this over. I'll just again mop out that glue. Turning it over, and again, just like we did on the other one, just turning it over here and then glue all over. Oops. So we can do the sort of treble layer. Like that. Okay, so like that, and then again just squish this down here like that. Okie dokie. Right, like that. Okay, so squish that down, squish it down this way, and then yep, here. Right, okay, so looking good. Now let's just mop up the glue. I've made such a mess around this desk, honestly. Don't know how I've got quite so messy with the glue seeping everywhere, but never mind. Okay, right. Okie dokie. Right, mopping that up, and then again what we'll do is we will just turn this over and tear this off. So sort of here, like that. Okay. Like that. Take that down here. Okay, looking good. And then cut it down here on the edge. Like that. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's all looking pretty good. Just do that so that there was a little bit of glue in there. That's sealed that closed now. So this now has got that sort of same continuity as the other pockets, and that just goes then onto here like that. And it just ties then, you know, each side of the page in to the other side. So I'm going to just glue this down here on 3 sides like that. Oops. And also, did you see where the page was torn? So here in this corner, it had that torn section. And by just putting that down onto the book page, we've kind of like created a little bit of a pocket in there. So, you know, even when it's torn, it was still then usable to make into a pocket. So a little bit of a sort of, a little bit of a bodge job there going on, but it all works fine. So like that. Okay, right, loving how that looks. Now also got this little trim, so different color flowers obviously to these, but you know they're going to work just as nicely. So, and what I will do is obviously I will incorporate these color throughout the whole thing, so we've then got, you know, slightly matching bits going on throughout the entire thing. So again, we'll just take this lace, maybe we'll have this going across here or down the bottom. I wonder what it would look like if I had it in both places. It might just then look too much. Or just try this. Just going to see how this would look going right the way across. Probably too much, but It's quite pretty, actually. Let me just take this down here. I mean, it's quite extravagant. It's an extravagant use of this trim, but it does look quite pretty. So sometimes, you know, sometimes extravagant is worth it, isn't it? I'm just going to check whether we'd like it the other way round. So the lace and then the... No, yeah. Right, so extravagant as this seems, I'm going to put this across this... Oops. Sorry. Across this whole top. So like that. Okay, and then we're just going to glue this down onto here. Okay, loving how that looks. And then this one, we just put this lace down at the bottom. Okay. So just a bit of glue there. Okay, and then just, yep, like that. Okay. We'll just then mop that up. Now, obviously, I am going to put some other bits on here, maybe like some butterflies. I mean, maybe some flowers, who knows? But at the moment, I think we'll just kind of, you know, go with these. I have just got these rosebuds. These ones, I used these in a mass making recently, and I had the packs on my shabbydabbydoodah.co.uk website. So thank you so much to everyone who purchased some of those. I'm not sure when it was now in relation to this video. It could have been quite some time ago. It just depends how long it takes for me to put this up. So yeah, let's just go for these now. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I hadn't realised, but my phone wasn't actually filming for that part. So all I've actually done, I made another pocket here from this same, you know, vintage document. Again, I've backed it with the book page. I've put some trim. Now, this obviously different colour to this one, slightly paler flowers, but it's still got a similar kind of feel to it. So I've put that across here at the top. So we've got a pocket in here now. And then I just put some lace down the bottom. So it's just kind of tying in the continuity. And then I was just taking these little rosebuds. Now, I did start saying when, you know, before I realised it wasn't filming, obviously I will be decorating this further, probably, you know, maybe some labels, maybe some butterflies, things like that. But at the moment, I'm just trying to keep it reasonably, you know, reasonably kind of like neutralish. So maybe we'll just have some things like this. So these were those pretty little rosebuds, which I'd included in a little pack from one of the mass makings that we did. I'm going to say in recent times, it was a while back, depending on my filming schedule. But yeah, so thank you so much to everyone who purchased one of those. They were available on my website, shabbydabbydoodah.co.uk. So I mean, they're probably still there, if you know, if you wanted to kind of check them out. So yeah, but we might just have, you know, maybe a couple of those. And what I'll do, I'll just ink those so that they look a little bit, because obviously the other pieces are now all coffee dyed, so these probably look a little bit bright in comparison. So I will just ink these up, and then they, you know, they just tie in color wise better, don't they? So yeah, right, now, well, that's quite pretty down there. And then perhaps we'll just have something like this up there. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to hot glue this because just for speed. So we just put that one down there like that. Okie dokie. And then this one, I've just put this one down here. Okay. So how pretty does that look? And again, you know, I will probably cut some of these little rosebuds out and incorporate them, you know, mixed in. So I've gone from kind of thinking we were going to keep this neutral to now it's turning out pretty pink, but I quite like it, you know, with the pink addition, to be honest. I think it's quite nice. Now, also, I have got this one, which we were going to have this over here across, you know, on top of the pocket, but actually I'm thinking let's have this on top of the chap here in the photograph. So I'm going to put that one on there. So again, let's just hot glue this one straight down. going straight across the top like that. And yeah, we just then pop that one down across there. Okay, and then obviously I will tie in the theme from the other page with the rosebuds and things. I mean, we don't have to keep it, you know, all identical, but I quite like the, you know, the continuing theme, to be honest, when I'm doing a journal. I think it's nice to have it, you know, with a sort of similar feel through. So I'm just going to put this little flower down like that. Okay, and then we'll go back to the page here and we'll just then do a couple of rosebuds here. So I mean, I've done a bit of a U-turn, to be honest, since my initial plans with this, but it's all taking shape now, and yeah, I'm really quite liking how it's looking. So sometimes things just have their life of their own. They take on a life of their own, don't they? And that's a bit what's happened here. I think it's just kind of like taken on a life of its own, and yeah, I quite like it, to be honest, how it's looking. So again, just maybe something like that. Might even see if we want to have some flower trims at the top here. So if I just cut this trim in here, this very extravagant with this trim, I must say. It's yeah, being a bit extravagant with it. So don't normally be this extravagant, but I think it's looking, you know, looking really pretty. Sorry about that, I just dropped something off my lap. So right, okay, so let's just pop this down here like that. Okay, that looks really good, doesn't it? And then, you know, it's just flowing through. Every page has got a flow through from, you know, from previous pages. So yeah, loving how that looks. Again, I don't know quite how I'm going to decorate the cover of this, or not the cover, but, you know, the first page yet. Obviously, I will now, you know, now I've got that pink theme going on, I will, yeah, I will tie it in somehow. And then we've got obviously the back sides also to do. So that's being these two pages. So I will again try and do something similar, bringing in the, you know, so we've got the same sort of theme running through with the same colours. But yeah, I haven't decided yet kind of how we're going to do those. But I really hope that you like how it's coming along. I hope you feel inspired to get out, you know, if you've maybe got some larger cabinet cards or anything like that, that you know, wonder how to use them. Hopefully you might feel inspired to do something a little bit like this. And yeah, hope that you like it. And thank you so much for watching. I will, of course, come back with a flip through. And yeah, thank you so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks then. Bye.